All right. All right, let's get started. First meeting of the year. I'm not surprised to not have too many people here in the office. Wednesday, January 5th. And so happy New Year. I hope everybody had a relaxing and a fun and healthy Christmas and New Year's. Who has anything? Well, let me start with the birthdays for the month, because we only have 2 birthdays this month, which is Andrea and Laura Lee. Andrea's on the 10th and Laura Lee's on the 25th. So happy birthday to them. I don't see them on here. So, or maybe they're on the next page, but anyway, happy birthday to them. Who has any good news they want to share? We've got to have some kind of good news, right? We just got through the holidays.
Well,
Adrienne?
I have kind of mixed news. So I am going to be having a listing coming up here soon for land. And so that's good that I'm getting the listing, but it's kind of sad because it's my son who bought the land last year and they're giving up. They're giving up. The price for putting the manufactured home on the land has gone up over $100,000 since they started. So they're just going to, just going to buy it. Yeah. Well, no. The cost to put it in.
The cost. Oh.
Yeah. So they're just going to buy a house because it's not worth it. It was going they were going to have to end up with a over $600,000 house in Anza. I mean, it's ridiculous. Every time they talk to the manufactured home people, the price goes up, and they won't commit to it till they actually start building, and so they pulled the plug. So anyway, so it's going to be a parcel that they bought last year, but it is improved now. It has a well on it, and it already has a grading plan and some other stuff. So we're not probably putting it up for about a month, but it'll be there. So.
Okay. Well,
let me know when you do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got someone, Donna?
No, but it's always, by then I may,
Yeah. Okay. I'll send you the details ahead so you know what it is.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you had someone, we could even work it out ahead. They don't care about it, They don't care. I mean, they would like to get back what they put into the well, but we'll see.
Well, email me where it's at and located and stuff, and I might have a couple of people I'll run it by.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Thanks.
Donna, the land seller. All right. Anybody else have any good news they want to share? Anything? Kelly, do you want to talk about your new listing coming up? I see her popping off and on the volume. All right, so let's talk about then the holiday listing contest. I can tell you guys are so excited about this contest. We are in week 5 and we have only 2 people playing. It's great. And we've had no listings come from it, and it's a listing contest. So anyway, I want to say congratulations again to our 2 players this week, Donna, who came in first place, and Marilou and Alvin. And so by the end of this 6 weeks, you're going to have 2 years worth of listing presentations. So you'll be good to go. So Donna, I'll chat with you later about which prize you want to pick, but there's 1 week left. So you guys, it goes from today to next Tuesday. If you want to jump in and maybe you need some listing presentations, you should play this week. And if you do get a listing this week, put it on the activity sheet. It's worth $50. So on top of your commission when you finally close it, but $50, I got some money out of Mark and Gordon for you. I was hoping to give away more like $600 eventually, but it didn't happen. So, and that's not really surprising because by looking at the numbers here, let's talk about the local market stats. So this is traditionally our slow time. As soon as Thanksgiving, even the week before Thanksgiving, stuff starts slowing down. So not a surprise. And Christmas time is the very, very slowest, those last 2 weeks of the year. And so let's talk about what's new in the Temecula Valley. We have only 80 new homes that came on the market in the last week, and that's for our 6 cities. We had 145 go into escrow and only 170 sell. So for the most part, these are all down from, we haven't had, yes, Kelly, you could talk in a sec. You must not have heard me when I called your name. We haven't had, what was I going to say? Oh, all of these have gone down about 50 to 100 since the last time we had our meeting. Temecula Valley active single family residential, we only have 441 active listings. And in Temecula alone, just 92 listings right now. And the, the lowest list price is $549,000 in Temecula. So always good to know that number. It actually went up $10,000 from 2 weeks ago. In Riverside County, we have 1,981 active listings. That's down quite, I want to say 300-400. And we had 54 price changes in the last week, which that doesn't surprise me either. Those people who are motivated thought that they might get those really motivated buyers over the holidays, probably didn't get them. So let's talk about, Kelly, go ahead and let's share your listing. Tell us about it. I know it's coming on the market on.
Oops. Oh my gosh, hang on.
One of
Yes,
them has
hi.
to be silent.
Thank you. For some reason, my volume wasn't working on my computer. But anyway, Rana and I have a new listing in Spencer's Crossing. It's going active on Friday. It's 3,309 square feet. The lot is 8,719 square feet. It's a 6-bedroom, 4.5 bath. Downstairs, there are 2 junior suites. So in the junior suites, there's not a sitting area, but it's a bedroom with a bathroom inside. And then there is also a half bath downstairs. And then upstairs are 4 bedrooms plus a bonus room. And there's no neighbors behind the house. There's a balcony off of the primary bedroom. There's views of the local mountains, which it's really pretty. And 3-car garage. Trying to think what else. We have quite a few showings already scheduled for Friday. We are doing an open house on Saturday from 11 until 2. The home does have solar, but it is a solar loan, which the sellers pay about $266 per month for the loan. And the loan is in the amount of about $41,000, which will need to be assumed by the buyers.
And what was the list price again?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say that, $715.
$715. And wow. What year was it built?
It was built at the end of 2017.
Oh, okay. Pretty new.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, good luck on that one. And
Thank you.
hopefully we have a buyer for you very quickly. Since
Yes.
we're talking about MLS, also, I wanted to, I don't know if you guys saw the email that I think it came late last night regarding the coming soon and how it's not going to be syndicated out to IDX places starting today. And the reason for that is because other MLSs that we reciprocate with don't do it. And so we were kind of messing everybody up. So what that basically means is it's not going to be shown, coming soon's not going to be shown on like Zillow or even our company website, because that's also considered an IDX site. So the only way that a consumer would be able to see your coming soon is if a realtor sent that coming soon listing through an email or through an automatic drip. So keep that in mind. Might see that. I don't know. I don't know if there'll be any more changes coming down the pipe. I like the coming soon because it kind of gets the hype up. But yeah, if you're not working with a realtor, you don't know. So that's good, I guess.
They're removing past sales also.
They are.
If it doesn't meet their new criteria, they removed one of mine and I investigated and there's nothing I can do about it.
A past sale, why though? I mean,
It didn't meet the
how-
criteria regarding the, what was it called? The
IDX.
IDX and the MLS, I believe.
Okay,
Yes. So
interesting.
agents may see sales disappear on Zillow.
Oh, on Zillow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'll go into my Zillow and I'll update everything that's sold and make sure that they have it posted and stuff like that.
Yeah, I tried to re-add it, but they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, as much as I hate them, we still have to work with them. Now that they're a broker, I shouldn't say that. I actually just, ooh, that was bad of me. Anyway, yeah, we need to find a new site besides Zillow to have our testimonials come to. We have a couple of other options out there. And the only reason why we all went to Zillow is because they weren't a brokerage back then. So you guys find a good one. I like Real Satisfied, but not a lot. It's a long survey. So anyway, all right. So let's talk. Anybody else have, sorry, any more listings, buyers, wants and needs, price reductions that they want to talk about? No. Okay, so beginning of the year, we're getting, we are still finalizing last year's numbers. Officially yesterday closed out our year. And so we are starting to work on awards and things like that. And it's the time of the year where we have to vote for our Agent Spirit Award for 2021. So if you remember last year, Adrian was the winner of our Agent Spirit Award. So just a reminder, or to tell some of those of you who haven't been here what that means. The branch agent, so a lot of you guys want to vote for the staff, but you can't vote for us. Agent Spirit Award recognizes an individual in each office as a person who exemplifies the core values of our company on a daily basis. They promote and participate in office meetings, events, charities, while showing outstanding spirit to their fellow agents. This award is voted on by all agents and staff in our office. So we have only 11 days to vote on this. So please just text me who you think who your nominee is, and I'll tally the votes, and you will find out who won at the regional awards breakfast, which I'll tell you now is going to be on March 1st at the Richard Nixon Library. It will be a big breakfast. It will be half of your day. So save that date. Any questions? Possibly, there's no reason why a person can't win twice. Our first award winner, so this is something new since we turned into Berkshire Hathaway. So our first award winner was Dawn Bedulis, and then it was Adrian. So anyway, I want to just remind you, in case you haven't paid your dues, MLS and realtor dues, they need to get paid. More importantly would be the MLS dues, because MLS will be cut off more than likely by the 10th. Is generally the date where they'll shut you off. You might already be shut off if you accidentally forgot to do your ethics, your every 3-year ethics plan. So let me know if you're in that boat. I can give you some ideas of where to take your ethics class at. It's super easy. I mean, it's only 3 units. You could do it in a couple of hours. Anyway, let's talk about, we went through all of the RPA, and hopefully some of you or all of you have played around with that purchase contract and have figured out that if you had a template in your MLS, or sorry, in your zip forms, it automatically brought over everything from your old template. So yay, we don't necessarily have to do a new template. I haven't gone back to reconfirm that my template changed to the new RPA, but it was pretty easy. I did a practice run myself, and there was just like 1 or 2 boxes that I had to mark. So anybody else have experience with it out there that they want to share? All right, so when we went through the RPA, we know there was like 40 or 50 forms that also changed, and there was a couple that were pretty major. And, I sent you guys all the red line auxiliary forms, but there was some major ones that were not in there. So I want to go through at least the buyer counter offer, the seller counter offer, and the seller multiple counter offer today. And then next week we'll go through the request for repairs and the response, because those 5 forms are ones that we use like all the time. And the counter offers haven't changed so much. The requests for repairs have changed a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put your favorite trainers from CAR on for about 15 minutes. And we're going to watch the video, just a snippet of the video for these 3 forms: buyer counter, seller counter, and seller multiple counter offer. So let me see here. All right. Let's...
That you think I need to address, let me know.
Okay.
Okay, great. So here we're looking at the buyer counteroffer form.
I can't really hear him, Shannon.
Okay, hold on. I know there's a button I have to push.
Well, let's
How
just
about
start
now?
with paragraph 1, right?
That's good.
Paragraph 1A says the liquidated damage and arbitration of dispute paragraphs each initial by all parties. The old buyer counteroffer form was a little bit more vague. It says paragraphs that require initials but are not initialed by all parties. And we're thinking, well, what paragraphs require initials in the purchase agreement? There's only 2 of them: liquidated damages and arbitration. So we're more specific in the new buyer counteroffer form. There, we're talking about those 2 paragraphs. They need to be initialed by all parties or addressed in a counteroffer form. Buyer counteroffer, we look at paragraph 1B. This is just kind of a reminder, right, of what the RPA already says in the new RPA, that the initial and increased deposit amounts are not proportional, right? Loan amounts are, down payment is proportional to what was stated in the original offer price, but initial and increased deposits are not. So paragraph 1B is a good reminder of that and essentially makes it contractual, just like it is already contractual in the RPA. Paragraph 1D. Well, 1D, again, there's nothing really new here, just a good reminder that addenda and amendments are only incorporated into the purchase agreement when they're signed by all parties and delivered to the other party, right? So we've got that reminder here. If there's anything checked in paragraph 1D, but it would apply regardless because of what the RPA says in the definitions paragraph in 25C. We have an expiration time for a buyer counteroffer. Well, that makes sense, right? And that's paragraph 2. And the offer expires just like the RPA, 3 days, but 3 days after what? 3 days after all buyer signatures. So if you have multiple buyers, they all need to sign the counteroffer. The 3 days does not start from the first buyer who signs, it starts from the last buyer who signs, right? And then there's another option there in 2B that, of course, if it's withdrawn, it cannot be accepted after it's withdrawn. Paragraph 3, some new language in paragraph 3. You see it highlighted in red. That by making this counteroffer, any previous offer or counteroffer can no longer be accepted. Why do we put that in there? Well, maybe Jana has some, hotline stories about this. But you have a situation where maybe a buyer makes an offer, a seller makes a counteroffer, maybe the buyer counters the seller's offer, And also the buyer realizes, you know, I'm making a mistake. I really want to go back and accept that seller's counteroffer. Well, it's too late. Once you've made a counter, you've essentially rejected anything that has come before that. And we wanted to make that explicit in the counteroffer form when we do that in paragraph 3.
Yeah, that's, I'll just chime in. So that's exactly right. I mean, that's a very common hotline call, is exactly the situation you described, which is the buy, counters are going back and forth, and then the buyer starts to, maybe get a little bit anxious that there's other interested buyers and they just want to take their counter offer back and say, never mind, seller, let's pretend like this didn't happen and I'll accept that counter you sent me. And it's always been true on the, basis of contract law that that was not possible. And so now it just makes it very clear. And so there's no mistakes get made, that buyers understand if you're going to make that counter offer, you're committing to making that counter offer, and there's no takebacks once that's taken place.
I like that, no takebacks, and that's basically what common law says. That's what case law says. That's what we at CAR, the CAR attorneys, understand, and we've got to provide this explanation to members who call in. So why do we need to make that explanation when we could have made it explicit in the body of the counteroffer itself? And so that's the advantage of that new language in paragraph 3. And then paragraph 4 basically makes it say, oh, buyer, even if you're doing a counteroffer, okay, seller, if you're going to accept the buyer's counteroffer, you could do so conditionally, because you may want to change some terms on your own. You may want to attach another counteroffer, another seller counteroffer. You would have to indicate that in paragraph 4. And that takes us to the seller.
All right, so I just want to reiterate the two major changes, and the major one being paragraph 1A, the liquidated damages and arbitration. Before, it used to be okay that they were not agreed to and everybody just carried on. But now it's not acceptable to have one party not agree. You have to address it. If you get a purchase contract and the seller and the buyer are not agreeing, they do need to come to an agreement. They either all agree or they all disagree. And so that's spelled out in 1A. And funny that he mentioned the buyer changed their mind and they want to go back and accept what the seller sent. I have a feeling that's going to still continue to happen, but let's be, a good realtor and do this right. If the buyer puts in this counteroffer, we know that means they're rejecting whatever they're not changing. And so if they change their mind again, they might have to write another counteroffer that says we're rescinding buyer counter offer number, and accepting seller counter offer 1 or whatever. So let's, it's going to be more paperwork, but that sounds like that would be more of the correct way to do that, so that we have a paper trail, because you don't know if by accident that the listing agent's going to send in that first buyer counter offer and the lender's going to see it, and it could be a mess. Any questions regarding this one? Okay, so let's move on to the seller counteroffer.
Seller counteroffer, I want to deal with all these counteroffers at the same time. Again, that same reference to liquidated damage and arbitration in paragraph 1A. The same reference in the seller counteroffer in 1B, right? A reminder of the RPA, and I've got those references there to 3D1, 5A1, 3D2, and 5A2. Deposits are not proportional. Seller, we hear in many parts of the state, sellers want the deposits to be proportional, right? They're sort of linking it to a liquidated damage clause. We know under liquidated damage that there's a presumption of validity for a deposit that is up to 3% of the purchase price. So some sellers may say, you know what, I'm countering, I'm increasing the price. I want the deposit to be increased proportionally as well. Well, you have to recognize what is said in paragraph 1B. Therefore, seller, if you want the deposits to be proportional, you need to make that explicit in paragraph 1C of the counteroffer form. A lot of new language in the seller counteroffer in paragraph 1D. What the forms committee has done is said, well, here's things that we find sellers frequently want to reference in a counteroffer. Why make the seller write these things out every single time? Let's put the most common ones there: addendum, backup offer. Maybe the seller wants to remain in possession. The buyer did not know that when the buyer wrote the offer. Look at the one about midway through, the TOPA, the tenant occupied property addendum. Now there's two places to mention the tenant occupied property addendum in the RPA. Paragraph 3M3 and paragraph 4A. But it's possible that a buyer does not know or is not aware that there's a tenant occupying the property. That's a possibility. So maybe the buyer does not check the box in 3M3 or 4A of the RPA. The seller, of course, should know if the property is tenant occupied, needs to address that. The way to address that going forward is with the tenant occupied property addendum, form TOPA. Seller, if you have tenant occupied property, whether the tenant's going to remain or whether the tenant's going to leave, doesn't matter. You need to address that situation. If the buyer did not address it in the RPA, it's incumbent upon you to address it in the counteroffer form. There's an easy way to do that. Check the box. Zip form will bring the form into the transaction. Of course, it still needs to be completed, right? Still needs to be completed, still needs to be signed, but it's easy to do if you're using zip form to complete your transactions. The counteroffer in paragraph 2 has an expiration date, just like the counteroffer, just like the RPA, nothing special there. Paragraph 4 talks about the issue Jana and I just mentioned, that once you're issuing a counteroffer, you cannot go back and accept an offer or counteroffer that was previously issued. So we have that same language there. Buyer, do you have to accept the counteroffer outright? No, you can do it conditionally if you want to issue your own counteroffer, right? What's going to make that determination? Well, obviously the terms of the seller's counteroffer, and quite honestly, who has market leverage in the transaction, right? Who can kind of demand or who can make request of the others, and hopefully the other will agree to those kinds of things. So those are some important issues that have been addressed in the counteroffer as well. I see a question there, and I'm going to bring this up. Let me see if I could find the language. Here we go. So same language in the seller counteroffer, buyer counteroffer, and the seller multiple counteroffer. Look at paragraph 1. The very first sentence in paragraph 1. Right, let's see if I can get it right here. The terms and conditions are accepted subject to the following, right? So when you're making a counteroffer, you're accepting those previous terms of what's been previously established, but you cannot go backwards. The other party cannot go backwards and accept something that has already been countered, okay? Get rid of that.
All right, so I just want to, this is not anything special, but I did notice on our printed copies that the seller counteroffers and the buyer counteroffers now don't have that line for you to fill in. They actually are already pre-printed, 1, 2, 3, 4. Only the multiple counteroffer now has a place for you to fill in. And I think that makes sense. Or maybe it was like that before and I just didn't realize, but I just noticed his had the line there, and ours, our printed ones are actually numbered. So that's good. That way it doesn't get forgotten. They don't go out of order unless the agent overwrites something. So any
Shannon,
questions?
do you have to pick that one that says the right number, or does it
Yeah.
just do it? Oh, okay.
Can you see that? No.
No, it's blurry.
I know, but yeah, I had to pick it. Had to pick just like it says 1, 2, 3, 4 in the drop down on zip forms. So that'll be something we'll be watching for, Shauna and I, doing the file checking to make sure everybody's picking them in order. Any other questions? let's just move on to the multiple counter.
And that takes us to the seller multiple counteroffer. We see the same references we were talking about before, liquidated damages, arbitration. Right? Instead of, if a seller wants to make deposit amounts proportional, well, the multiple counteroffer has its own paragraph 1C. So the seller, if you want to make those terms proportional, then you do it in 1D in the multiple counteroffer form. 1C has been added. It says any previous unaccepted seller counteroffer is hereby withdrawn and revoked. That was put in there for a very simple reason, which is the seller may have issued a counteroffer. Now the seller has received other offers. The seller wants to take back that counteroffer and put it into a multiple situation. So when the seller does that, the seller wants to make sure that that unaccepted counteroffer cannot be accepted. So that's why 1C was put into the multiple counteroffer. You see the same frequently used items that the seller may want to address. Now they're going to be in paragraph 1E. Paragraph 2 is really nothing new. This is just kind of a reminder, right? When there's a multiple counteroffer, the seller needs to sign twice. The buyer only needs to sign once. The seller will first sign in paragraph 5. If the buyer accepts, the buyer will sign in paragraph 7. And then the seller can pick and choose among the accepted, quote, accepted multiple counteroffers, because they're not binding until the seller signs a second time in paragraph 8. So all of that is really just explained in the multiple counteroffer in paragraph 2. The multiple counteroffer still needs to be accepted within a certain period of time. So the buyer's response time is 3 days. Notice the seller's response time is 4 days, but 4 days after the seller originally proposed the multiple counteroffer. So it's not 3 days plus 4 days. It's 3 days and then 4 day total period of time. So important to remember those dates. And, you know, just kind of a reminder, again, this is nothing new, same as in our existing multiple counteroffer, right? Seller, you're making your multiple, you sign in paragraph 5. Buyer, you have a chance to preliminarily accept because the seller has to sign a second time. Buyer, you indicate your approval in paragraph 7, but there's no binding effect until seller signs another time in paragraph 8.
All right, so I know this is not a big deal, but it kind of is to me. Do you see on these forms how there's no buyer or seller lines? Like, we should know that paragraph 5 is seller, paragraph 7 is buyer, paragraph 8 is seller, but why is it not marked? That's kind of odd to me. Anyway, so that's that. Any questions on this stuff? How do I stop sharing? Stop sharing. There. No questions on this? Okay, good. We haven't written a whole lot of offers yet with this new contract, so I'm sure questions will come up. Funny coincidence, we have a contract going through right now, one that is on the new contract, and the tenant in possession form, the TOPA form. So our particular buyer was the tenant. And so the question is the tenant in possession at the time of occupancy, or, you know, so I had to go to Forrest for that. And Forrest said, yes, we are still going to use a TOPA form, and you're going to assume, you're going to write it as if the buyer is still there. And you're just going to follow those guidelines. It's a pretty easy form. There's really only like a couple boxes there, but I just thought I'd point that out to you guys in case you have a tenant who decides to buy the property that they're currently renting. So that's that. All right, so I have for you, I forgot to get it ready for you, but anyway, If you guys are feeling a little sluggish, it's only the first week of the year, you're not sure, well, how do I get back into the groove of doing business? I found a really great checklist, a things to do today checklist, and you can't see it because I've got my blurry stuff going on in the background there, but I'm going to send it off to you. And let me just go over a couple of the things on here. So we're back to January. So scheduling an open house for the weekend, doing circle prospecting around a new listing or an upcoming open house. These will be all high payoff activities for you guys to be doing. Making calls to your current and past clients. If you haven't wish them Merry Christmas or Happy New Year yet. Happy New Year can go into probably almost the end of the month if you haven't talked to anybody in a couple of months. And by the way, those calls are on your activity sheet for the listing contest. And hey, you can earn some points and some prizes. So maybe you should do these. How about offering CMA to your sphere for an annual update? So just sending a couple in the mail, send out some direct mail marketing pieces, or maybe an email campaign, VAC, of course. Floor duty, if you want to take it. I did add some banners to the office. For those of you who haven't been into the office in a while, they basically just say, this is our real estate office. Here's our phone number on the front and the back. I'm hoping that people might see it as they're driving in the driveway or maybe stopped at the light behind us. So we'll see if that helps bring in some calls to the floor time. Previewing property, get to know your inventory, do business or pop buys for your past clients, update your web profile, maybe update your social media pages, review your business plan. Heaven forbid, if you guys don't, you need a business plan. If you don't have a plan, you need a plan. Let's get that going. Attend networking event, meet with someone face-to-face for coffee or lunch, update your mailing list, set up a trade show booth that might be coming up, have a get together, etc. I have a whole nother list. So I'll email you guys out this list. It's just kind of a good mind jogger of, oh yeah, this is how I'm supposed to be getting business. So hopefully that will help you. And then I was going to share a video from Rick Barabee, but I do have Rick coming to our regional meeting at the end of the month. So put Rick on your calendar. His theme for the year is following through in 2022. So let's make a plan and let's follow through on that plan. So last but not least, before we do our Joker jackpot, I would just want to remind you one last thing besides the training that Chris is doing, and I emailed you guys out Monday and Tuesday on Chris's training for the week. I saw that the breakfast with the city managers is coming up in February, and it's at South Coast Winery. It's $25 to attend. It's kind of a half-day event. It's something you really want to go to if you want to learn what's coming up. So I would encourage you to RSVP now. Just go on to SRCAR and log in as if you're going to pay your realtor dues and just sign up for that training event because it usually does sell out. The association also does an expo. So if you don't have any, if you want to meet or you need to acquire some like home inspectors, or although we have a home inspector in our office, but termite and all of those services, you can get to meet a number of people and maybe build your network of helpers for your business. So other than that, I'm going to get on to Joker Jackpot. Is there any announcements or questions that you guys want to say? Shauna?
Shannon, are you attending at John Giardelli's presentation this afternoon, and will you recount on it?
Yes, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yes, I did RSVP in time, so I'm on the list and I will take notes. I do have the slides already, so I can share those with you. And it did look like from the slides, he's just going over more of the RPA, but I mean, that's not a bad thing. We're not used to it yet. So yes, definitely next week, I'll be sharing whatever John brings up as far as legal stuff. And I know he's going over some stuff that's been in the courts. So Joker Jackpot. We only have 4 people here in the office, so. So we have 4 actually we only have 3 agents here in the office, so. Christina Morrison is drawing the name
Jill.
Jill, and Jill is online. Okay.
Hey,
Okay, who do you want to draw your card, Jill?
Shama can do it.
Okay, let me change my video settings. Okay. Did you shuffle?
Yep.
I trust you. Oh, it's a 2. And left, how much money?
We're up to $149.
$149. It's gonna roll over some more. And guess what? We're gonna be just in time to do our Super Bowl pool next. If anybody likes Super Bowl pools, I do. Yes, who doesn't love gambling, right? All right. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for attending. I hope to see you in the office soon. And we don't have any holidays coming up until mid-month, so we'll be in the office if you need any help. I appreciate you coming. Bye.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you.